The world has changed. We are not the same people that we were prior to the pandemic. And I talked about this earlier today. Thank you to those of you that came to my other 2 sessions. But what we used to be able to just pass off and deal with no difficulty or problem, now things are getting on our nerves. How many of you in this room find that little things are now getting under your skin? They're on that last nerve that you have, right? And so things, because when we're stressed out, when we're tired out, when we're burnt out, when we're having to deal with more and more, these things become more and more pronounced. And so we've changed what we're willing to accept, how we want to show up, who we're willing to tolerate or not tolerate. Those things have definitely changed as we've come out of the other side of COVID. Everything that we say and everything that we do is part of our workplace culture. Whether that's your family or whether that's the corporation that you work in, but everything that we say and everything that we do contributes to that culture. And if we are not purposeful, we're still creating a culture, whether we like it or not. And so are we being purposeful in creating the culture that we desire? And so part of today was talking about toxicity. If we tolerate that toxicity, we are allowing that toxic behavior to continue. We are enabling that toxic behavior to continue. Are we part of the problem, or are we hoping to be able to deal with it one way or the other? We catch each other's emotions just like we catch a virus. And if we allow that toxicity, if we allow that person to be negative and difficult and condescending, all of those, I think it was narcissistic, if we allow those things to continue, that becomes part of the culture, and it sticks to us. It becomes part of who we are. It is highly, highly contagious. Now, we can catch somebody's good mood. How many of you have a great friend that as soon as you see their face, hear their voice, it puts a smile on your face? Good. How many you have that person that as soon as you hear their voice, see their face, your whole body language becomes tense? Yeah. So we can catch somebody's good mood. It is harder to overcome somebody's negative or difficult mood. Does that make sense? It sticks to us. Now, what we know from our research is that a leader's mood, your attitude, your behaviors have a bigger impact on your colleagues than from colleague to colleague. So if you're in a leadership role, what you say and what you do has a bigger impact than on colleague to colleague. So how do you show up? That's an interesting piece. How do you start your day? Now, I'm not saying like you need to jump out of bed and go, yeehaw, let's go. How many of you are morning people and you can do that? And how many of you are going like, not a chance, I need my coffee first, right? I'm not suggesting that you need to, jump out of bed and be this, morning person, but how do you start your meetings? How do you walk in the door? How do you greet people? I often go into workplaces and I'll watch how people walk through the door. Do they walk through the door and let it slam on the person behind them? Because that happens, right? Do they go up in the elevator and everybody looks down and nobody talks? How we start the day, how we start our meetings matters. How you connect to people. Your behavior, your mood, your attitude has a huge impact on the people around you. So we're going to talk about a number of things. We're going to talk about attitudes. We're going to talk about some basic assumptions that you need to keep in mind. And then we're going to talk about the secret that nobody tells you about. So let's start with the word attitude. What comes to mind when you think of the word attitude? What image? What definition? What do you think of? A teenager. I love that you put that out there. How many of you, when you think of the word attitude, you think of a teenager and everything that goes with that? Couple of you. Anybody for the terrible twos and the spinning on the floor? Mm-hmm. Which one? Your daughter? Your toddler. Your 4-year-old toddler. Got it. Yeah. We have this attitude. How many of you, when you think of attitude, do you think of a chip on the shoulder? Maybe the way that they carry themselves? The way that they communicate? Anybody go right to the eye rolls as part of attitude? So we have this kind of vision of an attitude. But attitude is just a word. And so when we look at that word, really what we're talking about is the way that people see the world. And because they see the world in a certain way, they're going to talk a certain way, they're going to act a certain way, they're going to communicate in a certain way. And so there's all kinds of, we can talk about different kinds of psychology, and we can go in different ways. We can talk about Myers-Briggs or any of those kinds of things, but I'm going to keep it really simple for today. I'm going to talk about 4 main types of attitudes. And the first one that we're going to talk about is the optimistic person. Optimistic person is not the person who sees the glass as being half full or half empty. That's more just like a saying that we have. An optimistic person is a person who believes that things will work themselves out. Either they have the skills to work things out, or they believe that the world has a purpose and they have a purpose in the world and things will be okay. That's an optimistic person. They are not the person with their head in the cloud going, "Isn't life great? Oh, everything is so wonderful. My house is burning down, but that's okay." That's the delusional person. That's a completely different workshop that I do. They still see things, but they have this sense that things will be okay. Because they've done it before, they can do it again. They have this sense and this belief. Now, on the opposite end of the scale is the person who is truly pessimistic. The person who's truly pessimistic believes that the world is a horrible, awful, evil, chaotic place, and it's just a matter of time before things fall apart. Have you met that person? Worse yet, have you worked with that type of person? Like, don't get too excited about anything because you know what? The world is going to fall apart. Don't get excited about that success or that achievement. Things are going to be difficult. Just wait and see. Now, the third group are the pessimists. These are the people that don't necessarily see it, don't necessarily get it. They don't believe that things will work out, and they don't believe that things won't work out. These are the apathetic people. They're the whatever people. They're disconnected. It's a sense of no hope in them. Now, fortunately for us, very few people are truly apathetic or truly pessimistic. Most of the people that we find hard to deal with, that push our buttons, that get under our skin, is this last group. These are the people who are negativists. They don't necessarily see it, don't necessarily get it. They're not pessimistic all the time. Sometimes they kind of fall into that more optimistic mindset. And when they do, man, we should be jumping all over that. But they're kind of this kind of in-between. So they've looked at optimistic people for years, trying to figure out what makes some people more pessimistic, what makes some people more optimistic. What does that look like? And they found that optimistic people do something better than those other 3 groups. Any thoughts on what that might be? What do optimistic people do better than the other 3 groups?
Lift others up.
They lift others up. That can be part of it. They have hope. Somebody said that? Yes? That's going to be a part of it. But they actually do something better. They succeed. Now, through our research, optimistic people still get mad, they still get angry, and they still stomp, scream, and shout. Isn't that good for most of us to know? I get mad, I get angry. Do you get mad and angry? Yeah. It's not like they're walking around with their head in the clouds. They still have all of the emotions that everybody else does. But they do something better. And what they do is they go from what is it to what am I going to do about it faster than the other 3 groups. They go from problem identification into problem solving faster, so they don't get stuck in the emotion, which is good for us to know, because when it comes to dealing with people who are negative and difficult, it's not about changing them. It's about how do I move them forward from what is it to what are we going to do about it, from problem identification into problem solving. So keep that in mind as we talk about what some of these strategies look like. Why are people negative and difficult? Think about your colleagues. Think about your bosses. Think about yourself. When do you become that negative and difficult person? Think about your family members. What are some of the reasons you become negative and difficult? Give me a wave. Stress. Yeah, we have far too much to do and not enough time to do it in. Somebody else. Wave, I want to see. We're hungry. We're hangry. We've got all of that going on. Absolutely. Over here, I saw somebody. Yeah, we're tired out. We're worn out. Overwhelmed again. Somebody over here I saw waving their hand. Who was it? Somebody wave their hand and show me themselves. Right here.
Unappreciated.
You feel unappreciated, yeah. When we don't feel valued for the work that we do, the contribution that we make, the education that we have, our years of experience. And so we feel kind of that this builds up within us. So whenever we have these intense emotions, that can take over. When we're exhausted, like we said, when these expectations are unreasonable, we're expected to get things done. The timelines are too short. There's too much to do. We don't have enough people to do the things that we need to do. Sometimes we're different. We have different ways of seeing the world. That can lead to us thinking that that person's being difficult, that person's being negative, when they just maybe have a different perspective on the world. When we don't have control over what we do and how we do it, when we're told what to do and how to do it. How many of you, when you're told what to do and how to do, go right back to that 2-year-old? You're not going to tell me what to do. Don't you tell me what to do. And so, so we dig our heels in, we become more stubborn.